Welcome to all members of Rescue and Relief family. Before I introduce you to today's guest, I will request you to please like, share and subscribe to this channel so that we monetize this channel to create a secondary resource for our children and grandparents. Today in Donor Speak, episode 5, we will have conversation with another member of our organization, Professor Anway Mukhopadhayay. Professor Mukhopadhayay is a faculty of Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at IIT Kharagpur. He has received the Bharat Vikas Award and the Yuva Rattan Award. I remember meeting him for the first time and explaining him the work we do. Although he was new in IIT campus, he didn't think twice before coming forward and share a responsibility of one of our beneficiaries. He is a person with amazing compassion and love. I feel honored to welcome Professor Anway Mukhopadhayay. Firstly, I would like to thank him for being always there for my children and grandparents, and also for taking out time for today's conversation from his important schedule. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I also remember the time when we met in my chamber. So those days, seem to be a matter of prehistory now. And I hope this will be the future again. So we can only, hope that things will become normal.
So today I thought of discussing some social issues in our country. And I thought that you being a social scientist, you will be the best person to guide my viewers, guide me, and anybody who is watching this video. So sir, my first question will be, both men and women enjoy equal opportunities. But as far as freedom and safety of women are concerned, India lags behind. What is your comment on that?
Yeah, actually, this is a real problem in our society. On the one hand, you have a tradition of empowered women in India. So it is not the case that, women have always been disempowered in India. You have the history of disempowerment and, empowered women existing simultaneously. The other thing is that when we think about our society today, what we need to understand is that women's empowerment is not just the empowerment of women. When a woman is empowered, she also facilitates the empowerment of the society. So we should rather talk about, social empowerment through women's empowerment. So it's not just about women. When we empower women, our society gets empowered and men also get empowered. That's my take on it, because power is not just about an aggressive show of your power. It's also about compassion. That's how power can be defined, especially in the context of India, where you have a very long tradition of ethical approaches to compassion, to love, and these things have been philosophically seen as sources of or rather manifestations of Shakti. So Shakti is not just about your aggressivity, it's also about your compassion towards the others. It's also about your ability to empathetically engage with the others. So in that context, I think women's empowerment can also lead to men's genuine empowerment, because if men are aggressive on the streets, then that is not empowerment, but rather that is something problematic for the society, and that actually disempowers the society. So when we teach our students at the level of primary school or something like that, I think that the issues of gender sensitization should be introduced to the school curriculum so that children get to know about these things and they get sensitized to these issues from a very early age. Because if that doesn't happen, then you can't really expect that a person, especially a male person, would become sensitive towards these gender issues after say 18 years. Because by the time he reaches 18 years, the damage will be done. So if he is encouraged to become aggressive towards women within the society, then you can't do anything substantial after that. So it should begin at a very early stage. And we need to understand that this is not just a problem of women. When we see, violence against women in our society, this is also a problem which men should see as their problem. And everyone should see it as their problem. So it is not just a problem of women, because women's empowerment is necessary for a society's genuine empowerment. So that's my take on it.
But I have also observed, sir, is like we are basically an organization that is working for women empowerment, in the sense that we have a lot of traffic victims, and our idea is to get them back into the mainstream. Actually, the work that we are doing is not the solution of the problem. It is actually a kind of a medicine. That once the girl is been trafficked, and then the girl comes to me. But the idea is also to restrict trafficking, right? And to restrict trafficking, we believe that there is a humongous demand of the need for awareness among men, that somewhere down the line we need to stop exploiting women directly and indirectly. So I always talk about this, even watching a porn in a porn site can be sometimes discriminatory to a woman, and it will also reduce demand for something like this. Today, sir, the trafficking industry is the third largest industry after drugs and weapons. So and the main reason why this industry is booming is men who are creating the demand. So if awareness can be generated, that we feel, and what we try to do through our videos, we feel that the problem of trafficking can also be resolved.
Exactly, because when you talk about the relationships between the sexes in the society, you need to understand that these relationships should be seen as intersubjective relationships rather than subject-object relationships. Unfortunately, in our society till today, man-woman relationship is often seen as a kind of subject-object relationship. So women are seen as commodities, and that happens at multiple levels, as you have rightly pointed out. When you think about popular culture, when you think about the everyday modes of engaging with the issue of sexual relationships, we'll find that violence is seen as a kind of medium to express man-woman relationships. Even when so-called romantic themes are depicted in films, you will often find that they are depicted within a larger framework of violence. Now that might be direct violence or indirect violence, but nevertheless there is some kind of emphasis on violence almost all the time, and that is something which needs to be rectified. And the other thing is that in West Bengal especially, we need to be very sensitive to these issues. We can't just try to push these things under the carpet by saying that we are a progressive society. If in our state, if in our society we have this problem of trafficking women, then we have to acknowledge that first of all. So that is very important, because most often you will find that that even the intelligentsia in Bengal, unfortunately, is silent over it. So for instance, even if you look at Bengali literature, you will find that sometimes there is a tendency to sort of exoticize or sometimes even romanticize, the red light areas. But the real problems that are there should be brought to the fore, and that is the responsibility of the intelligentsia as well. As academics, we can't just write academic papers on these issues. We are also supposed to come forward and generate some kind of awareness among people. Of course, it's a huge task, and I'm not saying that the intelligentsia alone can do that, but they do have a role to play, and they should play that role. And I'm very happy that some of us from IIT Kharagpur are actually able to join this program, through your organization. We are not probably able to contribute in a very meaningful way, since we are also partnering with a lot of things, and probably we should participate more in the activities of your organization. Especially due to this COVID situation, we are not able to participate more. But still, it's really a great thing for me, at least, to get associated with your organization. Because at least I think that I can indirectly contribute to this cause. And that's a great thing.
And sir, I would like to also mention, I will take this opportunity to also thank the entire IIT community. I think the IIT community, be it not only IIT Kharagpur, but all the IITs like IIT Kanpur, IIT Bhubaneswar, IIT Patna, even IIT Chennai, IIT Tirupati, sir, we have been there in every places. And I would also take this opportunity to thank all my members, all my donors, that they have been beside us through thick and thin. And I think the credit goes to you people, that you have you've been there with us. And today our girls are reaching new heights. They're getting jobs. They're getting back to good. They're studying in good universities. So I would like to thank the entire IIT community for that also. Sir, moving from the problem to moving from the underprivileged side to the privileged side, my next question will be, sir, a materialist thing gives us pleasure, but that is short-lived, whereas a social work produces satisfaction which is long-lasting and has a greater impact. What are your views on that?
Yeah, now see, when we talk about happiness today, most often we tend to talk about things, so we think that the more we can amass certain things, the more we can, pile up certain things, the happier we would be. But actually that's not the case, because, we are not things ourselves. We are beings, we are living beings. So the best way to achieve happiness is to connect with the other beings, other living beings. And happiness is something which is a matter of sharing. My happiness can never be complete if I don't share it with the others. So I think when we talk about genuine happiness, or genuine spiritual development, we need to go beyond this thing-centered approach. And we need to connect with the other beings. So I personally don't see it as a kind of charity or help towards the others. For me, it's a way of, directly or indirectly connecting with the other beings in the society, because we are all social beings. So it's not just your responsibility, but it's also your privilege to be with the others. We all know what kind of pain one might go through if one is desocialized, because in a way we are all living to some extent desocialized lives during the pandemic, and that is extremely painful. At least for me, it's extremely painful. And I remember in the earliest phase of the lockdown, I just longed to be with other people. And when you look around yourself, you find that it's really a wonderful thing to be in a country like India, where you have millions of people with different perspectives, different problems, but different notions of happiness as well. That is very important. So you'll find that there are people who really don't have a lot of money, but they're happy. They are not even sure about the source of income tomorrow, but they are happy because in a way they are able to relate with life in a substantial way without any kind of mediation of the ideas of social security, or say the ideas of your status in a society. So most often the privileged people in a society try to hold on to some false ideas about status and all these things. So we create false images for ourselves, and that is a huge problem, because then we actually don't live our lives, but rather we try to live up to those images. So we become the slaves of the images that we have ourselves created. So when you try to go beyond these artificially constructed self-images, and when you try to reach out to other people, then I think that is a privilege for people like us, because we can relate to the reality. Otherwise, if you are enmeshed in an unreal picture of society and of yourself, then you are not really related to the world.
Right, sir. So like Diwali is around, and we celebrate Diwali with firecrackers. I think it causes a lot of environment pollution, and like I being a dog lover, harm to the street animals. If with the same amount, we try to bring light and help a helpless child by buying them sweets or books, or with education, or with little food, then would not give us any more pleasure, sir? What is your thought on that, sir?
Yeah, now see, the interesting thing is that when we think about Diwali, we also need to think about the etymology of this very term, which is basically Deepavali, as we know. So, which would translate as a cluster of lamps. Now, if you look at the Indian traditions, we'll find that it's a festival which is dear to various communities, not just to the Hindus, but various communities. And in all these communities, the emphasis is on light. The emphasis is not just on the physical light, but on spiritual light as well. So it is related to this very notion of enlightenment, and enlightenment is something which is in a way the essence of the Indian civilization. So you may define it in different ways. You can give it different names. You can call it moksha, you can call it nirvana, you can call it bodhi, whatever, but it's there. So I think while celebrating Deepavali, we can try to understand the essence of this notion of lighting lamps, And if you remember that famous statement by Lord Buddha, Atmadiva Bhava. So you should be a lamp to yourself. Now, if we can adopt that kind of philosophy, and that's also there in the Bhagavad Gita, because Sri Krishna is saying that you should save yourself. So it is basically a matter of self-help, self-enlightenment. So your enlightenment can become possible only when you try to enlighten yourself. So Deepavali is all about that process of enlightenment, lighting the lamp that is already within yourself. So if we take it in that way, then I think helping the others, reaching out to the others, because that is also a part of enlightenment. As we know, in Buddhism, for instance, prajna and karuna are inalienably connected. So when you are compassionate to the others, that also leads to your enlightenment. So these are not separate things. So the enjoyment of Deepavali at a spiritual level can be facilitated in this way, that of course you light lamps, you light the diyas, but at the same time you should try to light the lamps within yourselves. Because if my mind is full of darkness, if I am self-enclosed, I am not willing to come out of my cocoon, I am not willing to help the others, then where is my own lamp? How can I be a lamp to myself? And you can be a lamp to yourself when you acknowledge that the others are also, burning lamps. That they are not just other beings who can be bracketed off or ignored.
So that is an amazingly beautiful message, that to ignite the light inside you. That is what I think I will request all the viewers today, that let's not waste crores of rupees in burning crackers, and rather let's light up inside and understand the true essence of Deepavali. Right? And that is a beautiful message, sir. Thank you for this lovely message. I wonder, sir, that even you must have faced many difficulties and struggle to come to this point where you are in your life, and you are successful now. But I'm sure you must have seen failures and overcome hurdles. What is your message to the youth on facing failures to earn success, and how to deal with that failure? Like your journey from being a middle class boy to a successful person.
Yeah, now see, of course, it happens with everybody, and it has happened with me as well, that there were quote unquote failures and quote unquote successes. Now my point is that when you think about these things, the younger generation needs to understand that these are actually social constructs. So the society identifies one kind of event in your life as failure and another kind of event in your life as success. So if you go by the dictates of the society, or if you go by the images imposed on you by the society, then a quote-unquote failure might destabilize you, and you might feel that, everything has got devastated. But that is actually not the case. So there are two things which I would suggest in this context. So one is that you can have a higher and a kind of transcendental point against which you can measure all your successes and failures. Because see, after all, if you measure yourself against the cosmic backdrop, then you will find that it doesn't matter whether you are a successful person or a quote-unquote failure. I mean, you were just a speck of dust in this entire cosmos. So if you look at yourself from that very large perspective, from that cosmic perspective, I'm not saying that you must believe in God. I'm not saying that. But my point is that it can be done even if you are not deeply spiritual. I am personally very spiritual, but even if you are not spiritual in the conventional sense of the term, it can be done. For instance, you can just try to look at yourself from the cosmic perspective rather than from the narrow societal perspective, which imposes these ideas of success or failure on you. This is very important, because if you just go by whatever the society expects of you, or whatever the others expect of you, or even whatever you are conditioned by the others to expect out of yourself, then there is a problem. Because the moment there is something which is tagged as failure by the society, you might break down. But that is not what you should do. You should always understand that there is a large world outside and also around ourselves, with which we are supposed to remain connected. And if you can have a large perspective like that, a kind of transcendental perspective also, then I think these failures and successes, both the failures and the successes, would cease to have absolute values. I'm not saying that successes or failures shouldn't have any value in your life, but my point is that they should have relative values rather than absolute values. And that can be done only if you have a very comprehensive idea of the absolute or the ultimate. So now you may believe in God, you may not believe in God. Even if you don't believe in God, you know that it's a reality, that you are part of this cosmos as well. You are not just part of your society, you are not just part of this planet even, you are part of this entire cosmos, which has so many galaxies. So even if you look at that perspective of largeness, vastness, I think you would be able to reorient the energies of your life, and failures will cease to have absolute value in your life.
Sir, if I ask you in very brief, or how do you define happiness?
Now see, happiness is something which has two coordinates for me. One is, of course, the transcendental coordinate, but the reason why I call it the transcendental coordinate is that I think true happiness must give you a feeling of elevation, that you somehow come out of the closet of your everyday lives. Somehow you are able to go beyond the constrictions of your day-to-day lives. So that's what this transcendental dimension of happiness would mean to me. And then there is also an immanent dimension, that is that is something which is related to your existence within a societal framework. So your happiness, if the others are unhappy, can you really be happy? So suppose you are doing meditation and doing all these kinds of things. So you are trying to control your emotions and you are trying to achieve some kind of transcendental happiness. But will that be complete? Will that be sufficient without the happiness of the others? Now, that has been a central question in India for millennia. And I think for me as well, happiness has that kind of social coordinate as well, because without seeing the others happy around myself, I can't really enjoy my happiness, because that selfish happiness will ultimately sort of create another closet for me, and I can't really enlarge my perspective if I believe in that kind of a narrow notion of happiness.
So that is a beautiful message, sir, and even I relate the same, that happiness is not only about materialistic. There is a lot of ahead things to look into. Sir, you have been supporting our girls, children, and grandparents for almost 2 years now. But have we met, unmet, or exceeded your expectations?
Of course, you have made my and our expectations, because many of our colleagues here are also associated with your organization. I'm really happy with your work, and I think I wish some kind of expansion of your activities, because these kinds of work are very important for our society today. Because we really need some kind of systematic help that is to be extended to certain segments of the society. Now, we often talk about, help, support these things in a very fuzzy way, but we need to understand that these things should be programmed in a very systematic way as well. Now, I may say that, I help some people, I do some kind of charity, I give some money to someone, but that is not the solution to the problems faced by our society. You need to have a systematic framework. So the way you are progressing actually signals that systematicity within the framework of social support systems or social systems of helping the others. So helping the others is not just something fuzzy, which is an ethical principle. It's something which can be concretized only when you have a systematic program to sort of make it possible. So I'm really happy with the kind of work you are doing.
Sir, if there would be one thing that you would like to change in our organization, or something you don't like, would like us to improve?
Now, see, I would not say that there is something which I don't like or which I would like to get improved, but I would give one suggestion. Since you are working with girl children, and since your work is actually contributing to the empowerment of women in a society which is still troubled with gender-related forms of violence, I think what you can do is that you can sort of have a program of teaching the martial arts to the girl students as well, in a substantive way. Because what happens in our society is that we often tend to create gender divisions within the system of education as well. So, so men are supposed to engage in a lot of physical activities. The male students are supposed to have, that kind of orientation, whereas women are supposed to do some other kind of thing. But that is not what we should do. That kind of system is not what we should perpetuate. This is something which needs to be done within the mainstream as well, but I think this is what we can do, because martial arts, happen to be something which used to be a part of the educational system for women in India for a long period of time. So there is a tradition for that. And if women are taught the martial arts, then I think it would also help them, in the practical day-to-day lives, where they might face some kind of, situation of hostility coming from men or something like that. So that might be one possibility. But, otherwise, I'm really happy with your work.
Thank you, sir. We'll take that as a feedback answer. We will try to work on that. And I believe you understand that it's not that we don't want to do this. Sometimes the resource that we have are limited, and survivability is ahead of means. So, exactly. But definitely, sir, we look forward to work on that. And there can, and I always believe that only money is not the problem. There are other ways of doing this also. So thank you. That is a lovely suggestion, sir. I'll definitely write it down, and I believe that probably next couple of years, I will give this a yes, and you will be happy that I've taken your suggestion and we worked on it. Sir, sometimes we face this problem that a lot of people who want to join us, they come up with this thing that I've not seen your work, I've not gone to your project. How can I trust you? I get a lot of negative calls. I've heard a lot of wrong things about NGOs. Now, as far as I remember, and we have spoken, sir, you were a person who just, you didn't came to my project and you have not seen our work, but still you came forward and donated us. Your message to people who are looking forward to be a part of our organization, sir, something you would like to give?
Yeah, so I would unhesitantly recommend your organization to the people who are not still with you, but who would be with you. I hope it's very important because, in a society like ours, we the middle class people are often not able to reach out to the people who are in need. But what we can do is that we can take the help of the organizations which are helping these people. So that's why I would say that an organization like Rescue and Relief Foundation can actually help us in reaching out to the people in society who are in need. And that's why I would recommend this organization to the people from various segments of the society. And I would also ask all of you to get associated with this organization in various ways, not just by contributing money. You can also go there. You can, for instance, when I was talking about martial arts, so if you have some other kind of resource, if you think that you can but offer some kind of educational service that you go there and teach the children. So sometimes our students do that. In fact, in IIT Kharagpur, our students used to do that. With the foundation, I think the problem is that IIT Kharagpur is a bit far from Calcutta. That is one problem. Yeah, but I think the people who are around can help this organization in different ways, and so come forward and help them in diverse ways, in cash, in kind, and offer your services in various ways. Kind of services you can offer.
So we welcome any donor, any member coming forward with a skill that he has. And we can definitely, so any donor or any viewers who are listening to this video has martial art capacity or any other skill that they would like to offer continuously over a period of time, we welcome them to come and help us in solving these problems. So that was, so friends, that was Professor Anway Mukhopadhayay and his thoughts about the situation of underprivileged in our country and his view of little work or impact we as an organization are trying to do to bring a lasting change. We are grateful to him for taking out his precious time to be with us and convey the message to our family and the mass. Before, sir, you leave, I would like you to end this episode by mentioning one thing that you like our organization.
Yeah, now the thing that I like the most is that you have the capacity for reaching out to people and explaining things to them. You do it very clearly. For instance, when I met you and when later on I met the other people associated with your organization, the good thing was that everything was clearly explained. There was nothing fuzzy. There was nothing in the shadows, so everything was crystal clear for me that this is what we do, this is how the things go on. And the other thing is that you people don't obfuscate things. For instance, you speak the truth about the real problems faced by these children, and that is a matter of great courage, because we know that when it comes to trafficking of women or trafficking of children, people need a lot of courage to to speak up about these things. But you do that, and you relate to the people. You talk to your donors in an unreserved way about these things, and you explain things so well. So I think that's a good thing about your organization, because that kind of communication is very important.
So thank you, Anway sir. It was great having you today. And I hope, like me, everybody would also like this episode on Donor Speak. It was great having you here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.